Welcome to The Explainer. So, what if I told you that pretty much everything you think you know about discipline is wrong? Today, we're not going to talk about willpower or just grinding through your to-do list. No. Instead, we're going to dive into this incredible story that shows what it really means to be disciplined.
Okay, let's just jump right in. When you hear that word discipline, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For like 99% of people, it's all about forcing yourself to do stuff you don't want to do. But you see, there's a secret that the other 1% gets. And that secret, well, it's the key to unlocking a level of success that, honestly, most of us only ever dream about.
You know the drill. We've all been told discipline is about pure grit, getting up before the sun, hitting the gym, pushing through when you are just completely wiped out. But that's just, the tip of the iceberg. The real power of discipline, it's buried way deeper. It's built on a foundation of ownership, of leadership, and a totally different mindset.
And to really get what I'm talking about, we're going to look at this amazing old story. It's a simple little tale about a wise king and a test he came up with for his ministers. It was a test designed to show him who they really were, deep down. So picture this, a prosperous kingdom, ruled by a really wise king who totally valued his advisors. Among them, 3 guys really stood out. One was famous for just being a relentless hard worker. Another was known for being super smart. But the third guy, his name was Damon, he was the king's favorite, and nobody could quite figure out why. The kingdom had just put the finishing touches on this incredible new royal road. So, to celebrate, the king gave his 3 top ministers what sounded like a pretty simple job. Go inspect the road and report back on what you find. This was their big chance to shine, right? The hardworking minister, he goes first. And he does exactly what you'd expect. He walks the entire road by himself under the hot sun. Hours later, he comes back totally exhausted but proud. He tells the king, "Your Majesty, the road is perfect, except for one little spot with some leftover rubble." And the king just kind of nods, acknowledging his effort. Next up is the intelligent minister. Now, he thinks, I'm going to work smarter, not harder. So he grabs a carriage and a couple of soldiers, which lets him inspect the whole road way more efficiently. He comes back with this little smirk on his face and says, "Your Majesty, I did even better. I found 2 piles of debris." And then it's Damon's turn. He heads out, and the hours just start ticking by. The sun starts to set, and the other 2 ministers, they start whispering to each other. Where is this guy? What could possibly be taking him so long? Finally, Damon walks into the court, and he looks beat. The king asks for his report. Damon says, "Your Majesty, the road is perfect. And yes, I also found the 2 piles of debris." And you can just imagine the intelligent minister, kind of scoffing. If that's all he found, what took him so long? But then Damon keeps going. He looks right at the king and says, "When I saw the debris, I couldn't just write it down and leave. So I got the soldiers together and we cleared it all. The road is now completely ready for your people to use." And this is where the whole story just flips on its head. Damon says, "There's one more thing, Your Majesty." And he pulls out this massive glittering emerald from his bag. It's the king's most prized jewel. It had been missing for months. He'd found it buried under the second pile of rubble. The king just breaks into this huge smile, and he tells them the truth. He hid the emerald there himself. He knew the hard-working guy would find the problem. He knew the smart guy would analyze it. But he also knew that only Damon would see the problem and actually take it on himself to fix it. So, what in the world does a story about a road and a jewel have to do with discipline? The answer is everything. This one little story contains 7 huge lessons that completely flip our understanding of discipline on its head. Let's just quickly break down what Damon actually did, because his actions line up perfectly with these ideas. First, he took extreme ownership. See, the other ministers thought their job was to find the problem. Damon knew his job was to solve it. Big difference. Second, he showed leadership with his resources, the soldiers. And maybe most importantly, he understood that ego is the enemy. He didn't make excuses or think the job was beneath him. He just did what had to be done. Now that is the core of real discipline. And all of this, it leads us to the biggest and maybe the most surprising lesson of the whole story. It's a concept that sounds like a total contradiction, but it's the absolute truth about discipline. So often, we think of discipline as this cage, right? A bunch of rigid rules that box us in. But what this story shows us is the complete opposite. Real discipline, true discipline, isn't about holding yourself back. It's the very key that unlocks the door to genuine freedom. You know that emerald that Damon found? It wasn't just a rock, it's a symbol. It's a symbol for all the amazing rewards that real discipline brings into your life. The financial freedom, the incredible health, the strong relationships, and that deep, genuine happiness we're all searching for.
So here it is. Here's the big takeaway. Discipline isn't really about the rules you follow or the to-do lists you check off. It's about the person you choose to become. The next time you run into a problem, you have a choice. Are you going to be the person who just points it out? Or are you going to be the person who, like Damon, rolls up their sleeves and actually fixes it? The choice is yours.